So 13 people in Cleveland were shot just this weekend. There has been so much to talk about regarding adding more police, but the violence reduction plan is much more layered than that. What else are our leaders talking about? I want to bring in Mark Naymik for this because we don't know. I think a lot of people are at home thinking, what as city leaders are you doing? What do you know about that?
Well, you hit it on the head with the layers. So we talked a lot last week about the big layer, number of police officers. We know that we're way down in the number, and where that really impacts is on the people that do the investigations, you know, into the homicides, the rapes, everything, the gun issues. So we talked a lot about that last week, and you saw both the mayor and Council President Blaine Griffin talk about, you know, we're going to just pull out the stops, do what we can to recruit and keep officers. But that layer, there's much more. There's a technology layer that the city's been talking about a lot lately, the, you know, shot detection technology, find out where gunshots are going. The city has already talked about hiring 5 additional analysts to really look at the data. Now, the next layer is the human intelligence side of it, and that's our community relations board. They're the eyes and the ears of the neighborhoods, and that used to be headed by our now Council President Blaine Griffin. He did that for many years under Cleveland Mayor Frank Jackson, and those are the people trying to connect with the youth, the residents. Right now, we know from data, most of the offenders are between 15 and 22 years old. Those are the people using the guns. And they wonder, like, if we could get to them at age 12, could we make a difference? So how do you plug into that? That's something that's getting more discussion now. As part of that, it's that idea of interrupting then the retaliation. The violence in Cleveland is not random. I mean, it is largely somebody that has a beef in a neighborhood. We don't have big gangs here. We have neighborhood beefs, though, in gangs. We don't have, you know, nationals coming in. They, you know, they get upset on social media. They go back at people. So we have violence interrupters, which is sort of a broad term. Ours are called the Peacemakers Alliance. These are people that are inside our emergency rooms that are trying to get there right after a shooting so that they can maybe try to quell the retaliation. Blaine Griffin said to me last week that that's where he feels the city should be putting a little more energy into right now, that we need to be on the street. He uses a phrase, it's a little bit of a cliche, but we have to connect with the people who broke it to fix it. And we've got to get in there with some of these kids on the streets. Now, you tap into you know, the ministers and the clergy and others, because they have a good, powerful voice in it. So that right now is one of the biggest layers that is still being unwound. There has been money from the federal COVID relief set aside that the Cleveland Foundation is managing in order to fund some of these programs over the next decade. But that's long term. Short term, council and the mayor have got to get together on how to, you know, really attack which problems, how to get down on the street. It's not a new problem.
Real quickly, I only have a couple seconds, but you brought up a really good element, social media. How strong is the city's department to monitor that?
They monitor it very closely. We saw it during big cases like the 2016 national election or national convention here. After high-profile police shootings and decisions, they're on it because they're seeing that on one aspect for how people might be gathering to demonstrate, but also they are plugged into Instagram and other places where it's at. They can do more and they should do more, and that's what they're talking about.
All right. Mark Naymik, we so appreciate your insight.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Always.